Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Lukas Nelson rocks the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia on Saturday. We discussed his journey from growing up the son of Willie Nelson to forming his own band, Promise of the Real, and even training Bradley Cooper during the making of A Star Is Born. Hey, Lukas Nelson. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We're here because you are coming to the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia, not far from D.C., just a little over the border, on Saturday, April 1st. Looking forward to that. Before we get to that show, I wanted to follow up real quick. My folks just saw you at the Grand Ole Opry last fall. They said you stole the show. So memories, what was it like playing in that one?
Oh, that's cool. Which I've been to the Grand Ole Opry now a couple times in the last few months, and so was it a Grand Ole Opry showing, or was it a tribute show to another artist? Was it the Loretta Lynn thing, or was it just the Grand Ole Opry?
I think it was just a Grand Ole Opry, and Clint Black was playing there, so I don't know if that helps narrow it down.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it does. That was it like 4 months ago, something like that.
Something like that. But hey, the fact that you can't even keep track of how many times you've played there says a lot about your career, sir.
I like the Opry. They're fun over there, and they're it's such a beautiful tradition, and they help a lot of artists out, so that's cool.
That's really cool. Well, all right. Well, to the matter at hand here at the show at Hollywood Casino in West Virginia. What if our listeners turn out? What are they going to hear? Is it any of your older stuff, newer stuff? Do you mix in any of your dad Willie Nelson stuff? Any of the Highwaymen stuff? What? Give us a taste, a teaser of what we might hear.
I mean, every once in a while I'll throw in one of my dad's tunes, but well, now we got a pretty strong following of fans who really want to hear my stuff. So luckily Dad's still out there touring, so you can go see him. But as far as our shows go, we've got an eclectic mix of the old stuff and the new stuff, and we sort of combine it to put together a really dynamic, fun show. And a lot of people come away from the shows feeling like they'd gone to church or something. Just like, sort of a jubilant experience, joyful, not religious, but, just joyful in terms of, spiritual. You get there and you start, the idea is to get everybody off their seats and dancing and having a good time and forgetting about the world around them.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be fun if our listeners turn out for sure. I'd love to go into your songs and all that, but whenever I have someone famous on like yourself, I love to always sort of go chronologically as much as possible and hear your origin story. I know you're born in 88 in Austin, Texas. Love Austin.
Right.
My wife and I got engaged down there, so we love red dirt country and the whole thing. But didn't I read you mostly grew up in Maui, like surfing and stuff? Was it like a back and forth lifestyle for a while? Or were you mostly in Hawaii and then you over?
I was born in Austin and grew up on the ranch there, but also going back and forth from, well, really was just on the road the whole time. But yeah, another sort of home base, if you will, was Hawaii. And I grew up there. So born in Austin, had my first birthday in Hawaii, and sort of went back and forth between the two, and sort of So I got a little bit of the both upbringings, but I went to school in both places, so it was very much interesting, just back and forth like that. But also on the road, all through the United States and even in Europe and all over. So I got an education. In the cities of the nation, as Dad says.
That's so cool. When did you actually pick up, that first guitar? Because I know you practiced on it constantly. Like I think I read like 10 hours a day or something, right?
Yeah, I practiced a lot. Back when I probably was now 9 years old when I first grabbed it, and then never let go.
And whenabouts did the songwriting kick in? When do you remember the first, even if it was like embarrassing looking back on it, but do you remember the first ones you wrote?
The first one I wrote was a song called "You Were It." And I was about 9 years old, and my dad liked it so much he put it on a record of his called "It Always Will Be." So if you look at this old record that Dad has from the 2000s, it's called "It Always Will Be." There's a song on there called "You Were It," and the chorus is, but now I'm fine. All the pain is gone. I once had a heart, now I have a song. And yeah, once had a heart, now I have a song, and I don't remember why I thought of that, but at that moment I knew songwriting was something that I wanted to do. So
Well, maybe that makes sense. You know, your heart, you put your heart in the song, so I guess it's cool to swap the heart for the song. That makes sense lyrically, if you ask me.
yeah.
Well, you get it honestly. I mean, your dad, freaking one of the greatest songwriters of all time. I mean, do you have a before we get to your songs, real quick? Do you have any? If there's older listeners of us that are huge fans of your dad's, do you have a favorite song that he like from a songwriting perspective? We all know, you know, the hits and the radio hits, but is there like a deep cut? Or even if it's famous one that you really think that you're like, that's the underrated songwriting one right there.
A song of Dad's, you're asking me?
Or what made
Well,
his songwriting so unique? If you can't pinpoint a song or two, but you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like,
well, no, I can. I mean, "Healing Hands of Time" is a great song. "Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground" is probably one of my favorite songs that he wrote. "Crazy" is another song that most people don't. A lot of people think Patsy Cline wrote, but he wrote that song. It's one of the great songs of all time. So uh, he's one of the great songwriters out there.
prolific. Yeah, I know. Everyone hears Patsy Cline singing and crazy, and you're like, no, that's Willie Nelson. Or people, so you know, always on my mind. You think Elvis or something? It's like, no, Willie Nelson's the definitive version of that too. I think, but
Yeah.
we could go all day with Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain and all. There's just so many. But we've talked a ton about your father's influence and all that. But all the different highwaymen, you know, Christopherson and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash before they passed. Well, Chris is the only one of them that's still with us. But you know, what did you learn anything from them in addition to your father? Like, were they always like in your lives giving you tips and stuff?
I mean, Chris gave me the most mentorship, I suppose, as a songwriter. But Waylon and Johnny passed sort of before I got a chance. I mean, I knew them as uncles, but I didn't know them as mentors. But Chris has always given me good advice and well, just basically encouragement. Just liking the songs that I've written and telling me about that, and so that's helped me out.
Awesome. Well, maybe I'm sure someday soon you'll be a mentor to other people because you're building quite the run yourself, sir. So let's move on to your stuff. So I guess when did your journey sort of start? You come over in 2007 for college, is that right, in LA?
My journey started well before then. I was just sort of touring on the road with Dad when I was about 13, and then I started a band in Hawaii, and then took that band out on the road shortly after college, and then but then started playing from in all places, and started touring Texas and Wyoming and Utah, and we got little pockets, started little fires in a lot of different places, and then did 300 shows a year for about 15 years, and just kept building those little fires, and now we've got a pretty solid following in many different places in the U.S., and it's a great thing.
I love how you referred to that, starting little fires everywhere. And because that's true, you set little sparks all over the country, all over the world. And then when you come back to the town, it's like a raging fire. And then they remember you. I love that analogy.
Yeah, yeah,
So when did Promise of the Real actually form? The band, you know, that's the band name. We should tell
yeah,
everybody. I know
yeah.
it's the song, the
POTR.
band name is a reference to like a Neil Young song, right?
It's a Neil Young song called "Walk On." Some get stoned, some get strange. Sooner or later, it all gets real. And that's the promise of the real. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then so we started around 2008 or 2009, I think, is when some of the band members got together. Like, my percussionist and I have known each other for probably 25 years now. So most of the guys that I've been playing with, I've been playing. There's the youngest member of the band I've known for 15 years. So, I mean, excuse me, the newest member of the band. So it's we've been playing together a long time. We got a good chemistry, and we got an education out on the road.
Yeah, speaking of education on the road, didn't you tour with as Neil Young's band for a while too there?
We did Neil's tunes for a while with him. We'll still get a chance to do that at some point, I think, and just play a few shows with him pretty soon for a benefit, an autism benefit that we're doing in April. But we've been mostly touring. Well, I mean, we've done a lot of different things. We did The Star Is Born as a band together, and we did a bunch. We've done a lot of different projects together, and stuck with it thick and thin.
Yeah, you mentioned A Star Is Born. I was gonna get to that, but since you brought it up, my wife and I actually sang "Shallow" as a duet at our wedding. So I mean, your music is woven through here, baby. But
Oh wow!
talk about getting tapped to do that. Who does Bradley Cooper call you up for that? Did you
It
work get
was
through?
a producer. It was Bill Gerber and Bradley Cooper. Bill Gerber was a producer. Bradley Cooper called Bill, and Bradley had seen me playing with Neil Young, and then called me up and asked him to help him sort of look the part, play the part authentically. And so he really did take a lot of the mannerisms from what I did, and then I taught him how to pretend to play guitar, although all the guitar you hear is me. And then I did sit with him while he practiced singing for a long time, and that is the most impressive thing I think he did. He was actually singing and well in that film, and they did a great job together. And yeah, I ended up writing 8 or 9 songs, co-writing 8 or 9 songs for that, and producing the whole thing. So with them, so it ended up being quite a project. And of course, you can see the band in the movie there.
Oh, you're all over the movie. Not only you can see you guys, but like you're saying, all the music and just the way that teaching Bradley to perform. I'm with you. I think that was underrated. His performance, and I mean, Gaga got a lot of the attention, her performance, but both of them, they crushed it.
Well, I mean, I came up with the introductory lick for "Shallow." I mean, you can hear me doing. I mean, we arranged and produced that song together, and we spent a lot of time on that. So. Absolutely. Yeah. We work together a lot.
Awesome. It is an underrated movie. I want people to go back and look. I don't know if you even noticed this in the beginning, when Bradley Cooper's getting in the limo or whatever, they say like, which way do you want to go? And he tells it to turn down one street. In the background, there's like a giant neon sign of like a noose. And of course we know how the movie ends. So there's like directorial foreshadowing in that thing. So Cooper he's working on another level there. All right, cool. But we're here to talk your music. So real quick, if we have any of our listeners that let's handle it this way. Maybe some new folks that have heard of you but don't know your stuff too well. What would you recommend as like a good like entry point in terms of your discography to sort of say, hey, this is what we're all about? Would it be Wasted or Something Real, or where would you have them drop in?
Probably the self-titled record. We've got that album has, just outside of Austin, Find Yourself, Forget About Georgia, Set Me Down on a Cloud, Run and Shine.
This is Promise of the Real you're talking about, 2010?
Yeah, that self-titled. Yeah, exactly. No, a lot of the songs actually on that record were redone production-wise, and it was the first label release, so we got an actual good production on it, and I like the versions of the song. Some of the songs were older, but were redone, like "Set Me Down," "Find Yourself," and those have become staples of the show. So that would be a good one to listen to. And "Turn Off the News, Build a Garden's" another good one to listen to. It's one that a lot of people have really loved, and those are really the two. There's some older stuff that we have out, but if you're going to just start out listening to music, then probably those two would be the ones to start. And then we just got a new song out with Lainey Wilson called "More Than Friends," which is really fun, and that one's a real rockin' dancer. So it should be, the new album is going to really make the live show even more fun.
Now, are you saying that's all? Are you saying that's on A Few Stars Apart, or are you saying that's another one that's coming up you haven't even released yet?
No, I just released a song called More Than Friends 2 days ago. We just made an announcement for our new record, which comes out July 14th. Um, and we just put out a song called More Than Friends that's a duet with Lainey Wilson. And it's coming out. I mean, it's out on video. There's a video for it, and it's out there. So, um, that's a good one for people to listen to as well.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing that one. Well, real quick, you mentioned turn off the news, build a garden. I wanted to circle back to that real fast. I guess the meaning is sort of in the title, but talk about sort of the inspiration of that. I guess it dropped in summer of 2019. So I mean, it's political turmoil. We didn't even know a pandemic was going to be coming at the time. But tell me about why the message is turn off the news and build a garden.
Well, I think it's just more of like, there's just on both sides of the aisle, just a bunch of bullshit. And so, and I think I saw the news media as this, bad actor that sort of it started to like look, it just seems like it creates more problems than it solves. And so I just, I, while I think it's important to stay informed, I would see my parents sitting there watching the news all day long. I'd see, and this is a bipartisan issue. I just want everybody to, I at a certain point, I just wanted them to go outside and, and just like enjoy life and just go and actually, instead of hearing about your neighbor on TV, just, I don't know, trying to get to know your neighbor or go to your town meetings. And if you really think that there's something wrong, then go try and fix it rather than sit there and watch the news all the time, I guess.
No, I'm with you. It can be sort of not only is it lazy, but sort of poisonous to just sit there and have
Yeah,
a
exactly.
cable no matter what side you're on, no matter what you're watching. It inflames and enrages people rather than go out, meet your neighbor, learn about people
Yeah.
that might be different from you, and enjoy the nature outside. I'm with you.
That's the gist. Yeah.
That's the gist. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for going through all of your music and everything. I really, really appreciate it. You've been generous with your time.
Thank you
Lukas
very
Nelson.
much.
Yeah, Lukas Nelson coming to Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia on Saturday, April 1st. So get your tickets now. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.